Hello, welcome to Old Nerd's first Whatnot haul. I recently discovered Whatnot, and I can't understand how I slept on it for so long. I always kind of heard about it, but didn't really understand what it was. I guess never looked into it, and I think I may have seen someone on another YouTube channel talking about buying comics on there, and that got me curious enough to do a little digging and downloaded it and created an account and took my time kind of figuring it out, and finally went ahead and pulled the trigger and started buying some comics from a seller. These all came from a seller named Cards and Comics 12, and he's really good. I recommend him. So this is my first order. I haven't opened it up yet. Before we do, I gotta have a sip of. I made an Americano. I gotta have a sip of this coffee out of my Kalle Anka mug. Kalle Anka is Swedish for Donald Duck. And I mentioned that in an earlier video, and my friend Melanie got all excited because her people came right off the boat from Sweden, I guess. So she was pretty excited about a Swedish coffee mug and an Americano, which is an Italian invention, I think, from World War II. When the American GIs would come to the coffee shops in Italy, they'd want really strong, dark, bitter coffee, and they named it. They made this up and called it an Americano, and I think that's how it got its name. Don't take my word for it, but an Italian coffee named Americano in a Swedish mug with Donald Duck on it. Oh, that's great stuff. Okay, let's get into this. Like I said, Cards and Comics 12 was the seller, and I got way too many. I spent way too much money, but he had some really great stuff. And I recently did another auction. Last night he had another auction with just Mark Jeweler comics. And I got a bunch of those, so I'll do a video on them when they arrive. But it was the same seller that I got this from. And yeah, he's really cool. He's really works with you. Easy to work with. Willing to make a deal. He's a good guy. Anyway, all right, let's, how should I do this? Push them all aside. Ugh. So this is going to be mostly like Bronze and Copper Age type Marvel comics, because that's my thing. Because I'm an old nerd, and I grew up in the 80s, and that's the stuff that I love. But here we go. Here is Amazing Spider-Man 231. Now there's 2 books in here. Why is that? Let's see. Why is 2 books in here? X-Men 277, Jim Lee issue. This is after the Mutant Massacre. I was in love with the X-Men, but after the Mutant Massacre, which was shortly after I started reading the X-Men, had the rug pulled right out from under me early. The X-Men to me kind of went downhill. I still got them and read them. I still enjoyed them, but the magic of pre-Mutant Massacre, that team, that creative team, that the cast of the X-Men at that time, the magic just kind of went away because the team got all broken up, and new artists came on, and yeah. But one of the things I never liked was this issue in particular. Gambit beats Wolverine, and I never like Gambit. Like, they tried to make him, he's kind of a Mary Sue almost. Like, what is he? He makes explosives, but he can also outfight Wolverine. I mean, I guess he's a thief. I don't know. I don't know much about Gambit. I never cared for Gambit, and this issue really bothered me because Gambit beats Wolverine in a fight, and I thought that was stupid. I really thought that made no sense. The Raging Cajun beats Wolverine. Just did not sit well with me. And it wasn't too much longer after this that I quit reading the X-Men altogether, really. Chris Claremont leaves. Jim Lee leaves. And after that, it was just not the same. These Amazing Spider-Mans at this period, this creative team right here, Roger Stern, John Romita Jr. I loved this run. Roger Stern is such a good writer. I love Roger Stern so much, and this is before John Romita Jr.'s artwork got weird and unattractive, in my opinion. Like his run on the Uncanny X-Men, his first run, I should say, that was like peak, his artwork peak, and this was just before that. So, well, not just before it, but not too long before it. And the artwork that he does in this series when he's for his run on Amazing Spider-Man was just incredible. I thought anyway. But yeah, this is from what? This is 1982, and this is 1991. There's almost 10 years difference between those two. All right, what's next? What's next? X-Men Life Death. Again, 2 books in there. So Comics and Cards 12 is an efficiency expert like myself. I put 2 books in a bag and board myself, just because it makes sense. You save some money. Yeah, so cool. I admire that. Life Death. Now this one is during the first John Romita Jr. Run on the book, but he doesn't. I don't think he doesn't pencil this. This is Barry Windsor Smith. The artwork in this issue. Holy cow. So just 2 nights ago, I watched on Tubi the documentary from, I don't know how long, 2012-ish maybe it came out. It's called Chris Claremont's X-Men. And it's a documentary. I've watched it before, but I rewatched it again last night. It's a really good documentary on his history, on his run, his 17-year run on the X-Men. And they talk about, he gets interviewed in it. Louise Simonson gets interviewed in it. What was the other editor, the other ex-editor after Louise Simonson? Cute girl. Can't remember her name now. Is she the assistant editor on this one? And, yeah. Oh no, she's the editor. Anna Senti. She gets interviewed in that as well. So I think you can watch. It's called Chris Claremont's X-Men. It's like an hour and a half long. I think you can either watch it on YouTube or Tubi. Either way, you can watch it for free, and it's really good. If you're an old nerd like me and you grew up in this era of the X-Men when they were just unbelievably good every issue, that's a good documentary to watch. But yeah, this is fantastic Barry Windsor Smith artwork. I didn't like him when I was younger. I like him a lot more now. Especially, who's inking this? Who is our... Oh, yeah, Terry Austin's inking this. No wonder it looks so great. Terry Austin's one of the greatest inkers Marvel ever had. Or comics ever had. But yeah, I didn't like Barry Windsor Smith's art when I was a young nerd reading this stuff. I don't know why. I didn't like it though. It was weird, hyper realistic, and then the faces were just kind of, I don't know, cartoony. Maybe I can't really put my finger on what exactly it was about Barry Windsor Smith's art that I didn't like at the time, but I like it now. The Puma, the Beyonder, Secret Wars 2 crossover, the black suit. Yes. No UPC code, but Spidey's black costume head. His black costume up in the corner box. This is the best. Yeah, and these comics are all like very fine to near mint condition. Look how white the pages are. This is from 1986. Look how white those pages are. Yeah, like I said, Cards and Comics 12 is a really good seller. It has some really good stuff. And like I said, I'll do another video on another Whatnot haul from him soon, because he probably just today mailed out the stuff from last night's auction. Like I said, that was all Mark Jewelers comics, and I got a bunch of them. So here is this John Romita Jr. I think this is John Romita Jr. cover. You could almost overlook the fact that it's him, but yeah, that's him. I like the X-Men up on top. Does a really good job on those. But that's Lockheed, Kitty's dragon. Professor X when he had that weird costume for a minute. Yeah, this is John Romita Jr. Look at that splash page. I don't know what it is that, like, it, I bet you a lot of people out there are like, I can't believe you didn't like Barry Windsor Smith, but you do like John Romita Jr. Yeah, that's a fair question. But I love this artwork. I love his style at this time. I love the way he drew the X-Men. And I've heard people talk about like this run was like a letdown because of all the great artists that had been on the book up until this point. And then like somehow this was like a huge letdown that John Romita Jr. took it over art wise. And I don't like this. This is the era that I started reading comics. This is the era I discovered comics. This is the era where I got so excited about comic books and was just kind of a madman for them for several years when I was a kid, like learning to read until discovering my cousin who was 2 years older than me and lived in a bigger city compared to where I lived. I lived out in the country, so comics, you didn't find comics commonly anywhere around where I lived. Once in a while, a store might have a couple of them mixed in with the magazines, but that would be it. So for me, I was just a madman about comics, and this was a big reason for it, was this run of X-Men and John Romita Jr.'s artwork in particular. I don't know why, but I think it's quite good. But again, like, I'm not sure how I didn't appreciate Barry Windsor Smith back then. This issue, it's got screwed up back here, but these are only like $2 or $3 a piece, which is the cool thing about Whatnot, because they just put up, it's like a live sale. They put up comics and you bid on them, and they start like Cards and Comics 12. He just has basically the stuff that I like Copper and Bronze Age comics. And where was I going with this? I lost track of myself. Anyway, like I said, not in the greatest of condition, but still pretty nice shape. I'll probably put this in the old nerd store for $3 or $4 maybe. And I've made a little bit of money. Oh shoot, I've totally forgot. This is early Rick Leonardi artwork. Inked by Vince Colletta, who's a pretty good inker, actually. He was one of the ones from the Bronze Age, the 70s, who would ink like John Byrne and like made it look really good. Like some inkers put too much ink and not enough detail into John Byrne's pencils, or anybody's pencils really, and just kind of make it look like a slop show. But Vince Colletta, he was like kind of a precursor to Terry Austin, who I mentioned here a minute ago in that Barry Windsor Smith issue of X-Men. Terry Austin inked it, and he makes everything look great. And Vince Colletta, I feel like he predates him at Marvel by, I don't know, a couple years anyway. And his inks I'm discovering now that I'm reading through my comics in order. By the way, subscribe. I'm reading through my Marvel Comics collection in publishing date order and doing a video on each issue as I go. So subscribe for that. But anyway, my collection starts in like the mid 70s, 1974-ish. And Vince Colletta's name is coming up more and more in those issues. So that's how I know about it. And that's what I'm doing that video series for, is because I can learn about the history of these comics that I love so much in real time, kind of, by reading them in publishing date order. So I read the bullpen bulletins, I read the letters pages, and I don't do that on camera, but while I'm reading them, I do. And just because I want to try and soak up, the history in real time of Marvel Comics. And it's been real fun so far. I've learned quite a bit. But this is Rick Leonardi on pencils in this issue. I totally forgot that this was Rick Leonardi. That's not his cover. I'm not sure who the cover artist is. Could be Ron Frenz, because this might even be in the middle of Ron Frenz's run, or maybe this is like right after Ron Frenz left the book. So maybe he still did the cover. I'm not sure. But Rick Leonardi is one of the fill-in pencilers for a bunch of Amazing Spider-Man at this time. And this is where I discovered him and just became a complete Rick Leonardi fanatic. Love his Cloak and Dagger. His few issues of Amazing Spider-Man. And the 2-issue story that he did in Daredevil where Wolverine was the guest star and they fought Shotgun. That was all Rick Leonardi pencils, and holy cow, I love those 2 issues so much. But yeah, I love this guy. He is I've always loved him right from the first time I saw him. Just love his artwork. Very sharp, like not a lot of rounded off edges. Everything's real pointy and jagged, but still the detail is there. Still a cool style is there. Like he draws Silver Sable, like, you know, like a real classy woman of the city. Just in the, you know, she's not doing anything right now that would make her that calls attention to that about her, but his style, the way that he draws her, just evokes that, I think. So yeah, I'm a huge Rick Leonardi fan. Unfortunately, this isn't in very good shape, but this is a perfect candidate to put in the old nerd store, because it's still kind of a valuable comic book, even with, you know, this damage. Like, I suppose somebody really good could press a lot of that out of there. That's something I want to get into, is pressing comics. I haven't done it yet. I've just moved into a new place and I'm getting my comic book space settled. It'll be a little while before I can think about getting a press, but I'd like to learn to do it. But again, this is, you know, with a pressing, it would be in even better shape, and it's not in bad shape. So we'll put that over there. Those are candidates for the old nerd store. This pile, like this one's, you know, not great. It's got spine ticks, but that's really it. But I'm sure that I already have all these. I already have. What I get them for is to sell them in my store. But before I sell them in my store, so this pile will say is definitely going into my store. Don't need to think about it any longer. This pile will be stuff that I will hold on to and compare to my collection, my main collection, and I'll like if this issue copy is in better condition, or it's like a newsstand versus a direct edition, whatever. Like, I'll put this in my collection, take out the one that's in there, and put it in the pile to sell in my store. Is what I'm saying. So definitely sell into the store. Hold on to it to compare to what I've already got. All right, next. This is going to take a while at this speed, so I hope you're settled in. Oh. All right, these are 2 fantastic issues right here. This is Charles Vess. I've talked about him before in some of my other videos. He did a lot of painted artwork. Well, I think these are actually his pencils. I'm not sure if he colored this or not. He probably did. I don't know. Is that painting? It looks like it could be a painting, but at the same time, it also looks like it could just be a real stylistic and clever use of standard colors. But I want to say it's a painting. But I love this cover. And this is part of that Ron Frenz run I was just talking about a little bit ago. Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz on this book. Joseph Rubinstein, he's another great inker. Anyway, but this run with Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz is from when I was in that sweet spot that I talked about of when I was young and just in love with comics, and these were coming out then. And the whole run of Amazing Spider-Man from like 200 all the way to a little ways into 300 was when I was that age, and it was like every single issue was good, and we were excited to get the newest issue of Amazing Spider-Man, or maybe go to like when I'd go visit my cousin in the bigger city, and there was a comic shop there, and he had a subscription, and his mom would stop on her way home from work and pick up his subscription, his pull list, and take it home, and he'd read them. And whenever I'd go up there, it was such a treat and so exciting to go to that comic store. I only went there like maybe once or twice a year ever at the most, and it was a real treat. And to get the older issues, like say it was 1987 or whatever, and they were that was when Peter Parker and Mary Jane got married, I guess. So, going to that comic shop and finding, say, something from 3 years ago, and being able to read it was just, it was magic. I loved it. But yeah, this is a favorite issue of mine. Several issues where, see, we got the black suit. He's captured it. The Fantastic Four's captured him, removed him from Peter Parker, and this is where it breaks out. He's in the Baxter Building, and he's able to break out. So this is where Venom is born. But yeah, this run, being able to several issues with the Hobgoblin. It was like a big mystery. I forget what all was going on, but these few issues that this story arc are some of the best from my memories of reading comics when I was a kid. This was a 2-issue thing. I think it crosses over into the Avengers, I think, because they guest star in here. But the issue before this is Firelord that Spider-Man's beaten up. And Firelord's basically like an outer space god. He's been kind of like a good guy, bad guy character in Marvel, kind of along the lines of Submariner. Like, he's a hero, but he can be a villain too. And Firelord's a villain, I think, who can be a hero once in a while. And Spider-Man beats him up. And the issue before this, the cover, I hope it might be in there. It might be in one of the things I got. Love this. This was such a good fight. Spider-Man versus Firelord. Such a good fight. So interesting. So much fun, so much action, so much fantastic Ron Frenz artwork, and Tom DeFalco is the writer, I believe. I think that's where we're at. Yeah, Tom DeFalco, Ron Frenz. Ooh, Bob McLeod's doing the inking on this one. He's one of those ones that can do fat, dark globs of ink over pencils, and actually does a good job with it. I like Bob McLeod for the most part. So yeah, we'll keep that in the compare pile. Ooh, look at this. Here's another one that I was just talking about, like going to the comic shop and finding comics that came out before you were starting to read. And this was one of those ones. 20th anniversary issue 175, Paul Smith artwork in half. This is right at the end of Paul Smith's run on the X-Men. Look at him. So fantastic. And maybe this will give us an example of why certain people were let down when when John Romita Jr. took over the pencils. Because this issue, I think, is the transition. Is it this issue that's the transition issue? Maybe not. Although that, I don't know if I like that face. I mean, Paul Smith was really excellent. So is this entirely Paul Smith? Okay, I was thinking that this was... Oh, no, this is the transition issue. All right, so Paul Smith draws the first half, and he leaves the book, and then John Romita Jr. comes on the book. So the first half is drawn by the outgoing artist, and the second half is drawn by the incoming artist, John Romita Jr. Here's his first page. And Paul Smith's last page. So, I don't know. That actually is very similar. That's John Romita Jr., but it's very similar to the picture I showed you earlier, the drawing I showed you earlier of... This is Paul Smith drawing Storm's face, and I don't think doing a very good job. And then this is John Romita Jr. doing the same style, or the same kind of idea for her face, the way she looks, but I think doing a better job. I think this looks kind of silly. That looks scary. And I think that's what they were going for, at least. But yeah, this is when John Romita Jr. came on, and I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it looks real good. But a lot of people, I guess, were let down that John Romita Jr. was the new penciler. Bob Wycheck was the inker. But yeah, Paul Smith, 1 through 29, John Romita Jr., 30 through 38. And was, the baton being handed off of being the artist on the book. right, what do we got in here? I don't even know. Got these all flipped over so I can't see. So it's this big surprise. Ah, here's one that was missing from my collection. This will go into my personal collection for sure because I was missing this one. X-Men 106 before it was Uncanny. So this is interesting. A Claremont, Mantlo, Brown, Cockrum. So Bill Mantlo worked on this? Interesting. I didn't know that he did that. Looks like Stan Lee back there, doesn't it? Here's Firelord again. He's mad at Phoenix because she blew up the planet. So since he's like an outer space god, like I said, he's coming to get her, take her in for some justice or kill her or something. But this is Dave Cockrum artwork. I think, yeah, Dave Cockrum. This is towards the end of his run. I think in an issue or two, John Byrne takes over. What are these? Now on sale. 2 more great adaptations. H.G. Wells' The Food of the Gods. Master of the World by Jules Verne. Oh, that's a good movie. It's a Vincent Price movie from the 60s. A science fiction movie. It's pretty good. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this might be right before, like an issue before John Byrne comes on or so. So this is actually, we'll put that, we'll put it right there, I guess. So definitely going in my personal collection. Got to compare it to my personal collection. Definitely going to the old nerd store. All right. Oh, here's one that is definitely going in the personal collection. One that I've been missing. One that's been very expensive lately. You try and find it, it's expensive because everybody's like falling for this hoax that Taylor Swift is going to star as Dazzler in a new X-Men movie. Like, I haven't seen any evidence of it, but everybody went nuts, and this issue got expensive. So it's taken me a little while to find one. So thanks, Cards and Comics 12. That one's definitely going in the personal collection. This is right in the middle of John Byrne's run on the Uncanny X-Men. And is, yep, Terry Austin's the inker. Dazzler. First appearance of Dazzler, I think. They were trying to, I forget what the story was. If you listen to some interviews with Jim Shooter and some of the other folks involved with Dazzler's origin, like they were trying to make some kind of like character to be, I forget what the story was, but it was like to cross over with pop music somehow. And it didn't work out, but they liked the character and kept her, so Dazzler became a thing. But I don't know if the rumor is she's either going to have a solo movie or show up in a TV show as a side character or being in the X-Men. I'm not sure, but everybody all of a sudden, there's this hoax. At least I think it's a hoax because I haven't seen any evidence of it being true that Taylor Swift is going to be Dazzler in an upcoming movie or TV show. So this got expensive all of a sudden. Here's some more Jimmy Lee on the X-Men. This one's in really nice shape. Here's an old timer. No, this is Bill Sienkiewicz. I don't think his finest hour. Like he's another one that I didn't really care for when I was a kid. I've come to appreciate him more now. But this, don't really care for this cover too much. But I don't think he drew it. No, this is John Romita Jr. and Dan Green. Dan Green was inker on Uncanny for quite a long time after Terry Austin left. Power Pack was a fun title, fun comic. Kids super team. Yeah, looking back on this now, I can see some of the John Romita Jr. things that I don't care for. Like that drawing of Power Pack that I just showed you. It's kind of goofy looking. But otherwise, I love the way he drew Wolverine. So that one is in really nice shape. So we'll have to take a look at my copy and see if it's any nicer. This one, of course, Jim Lee. This is another Dazzler issue. At this point, she's in the team. Looks like she's dead. Somebody killed her. Oh, it's just a mannequin. But yeah, this is when Jim Lee came on. Or is this Marc Silvestri? Shut up. This is Marc Silvestri, isn't it? Yeah. Dan Green's still the inker. But that's a Jim Lee cover. So this would be before Jim Lee came on then, right? Yeah, right before Jim Lee came on. So he's starting to draw the covers, and then I think after a while of just drawing the covers, he takes over as penciler. But Marc Silvestri had been on the title for quite a while. And he was like, I kind of liked him and kind of didn't. It was kind of like grunge X-Men. Got kind of murky. Like his style is just kind of, I don't know, gloomy, dark, murky, grunge style pencils, maybe? I don't know. But that's kind of the feeling that I got from him at the time when I was a kid reading it. One of the reasons why the X-Men was kind of like, I like them, but at the same time, I don't really like the direction they're going in. But he's good. Everybody knows Marc Silvestri's good. But this one, I don't know. I'm going to put that right over there. Right over there in the gonna sell it pile. Take it right down to the store and sell it. All right, what's in this one? What we got here? One of my favorite covers ever. This would have come out right before I started reading the Uncanny X-Men, collecting them. But I remember this was one that I think this was shown in an advertisement in the pages. So I probably knew this cover just from seeing the advertisement. I wonder if it's in here. It could be. You know, an advertisement like that with the different covers of the month. I think that's how I knew this issue. I don't see the ad in here. But this one is fantastic condition. This is John Romita Jr. cover. The colors on this are just sweet. Charles Xavier. Yeah, this one's in really nice shape. I'm going to have to do a little comparison with my copy of my PC because it could be a little better. This one's got some ticks. Not too bad, though. Versus the Black Queen from the Hellfire Club. Steve Leialoha's doing the inks on this one. That will change things a little bit, but still looks good. Steve Leialoha is a cool inker. He's got a neat style. Nice. Yeah, that one kind of doubt is better than my PC. We'll put that in the sell it right now pile. Well, as you can see, let me have a sip of this Kalle Anka mug Americano in a Swedish mug. It's not a Swedish mug. What am I talking about? I just say Kalle Anka because I've read that somewhere and I think it's cool. And so the mug isn't actually Swedish. I'm just making it that way for being a cornball. Anyway, I still got quite a pile to go, so I'm not going to bore you with all of it. It's gone on for long enough already. Anyway, this is my first Whatnot haul. Really cool stuff. And like the auctions all started at $2-3. And a lot of times they didn't really go much more than that. And then at the end, like he bundled a bunch of stuff, so you saved a little bit more. So it was cool. Like it was a lot of Whatnot is dangerous, but a lot of fun, and a good way for somebody like me who likes to resell them, or get a better copy to replace in my personal collection and then resell it. It's really cool. So anyway, that's my first half of my first Whatnot haul. Hope you like it. Please subscribe, please share, please like, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.